Underdogs VR is a new VR game that just released, and instead of doing a review of the game like many others have, I decided I would do a challenge run where I would try to beat the entire game with only upgrades and add-ons. If you haven't heard of Underdogs, then I feel bad for you, because this game is legitimately some of the most fun I've ever had playing VR. You play inside of a mech, fighting waves of enemies until you get to the final boss of each wave, and then after that you move on to the next area. During the night, you'll fight the enemies, and during the day, you have the chance to get new parts for your mech and meet new people to buy, trade, and repair your bot. The main point of the game is you'll get new parts like arms, hands, a bubble, which is your shield, like the glass around you, and a bumper, which you can ram into people to bounce them away. Let's get into the rules of this challenge. The rules for this challenge are extremely simple, but they make the game a little bit harder. I cannot equip any new attachments such as arms, weapons, bubble, or bumper, but I am allowed to use any sort of upgrades or add-ons. In fact, they're encouraged to do so because it makes the challenge much easier. Obviously, I'm new to making videos inside this style, so if you have any criticism, please leave it in the comments, and if you have any other challenges you want me to do, comment them. If this video can get like 20 likes, then I'll try to do a challenge where I can't use upgrades or add-ons either. And now let's get right in while I pray that CapCut doesn't crash after having to do 82 minutes of footage edited down. The first battle is the easiest since we don't have any attachments we can change at all, so it's just like the normal game and we easily breeze through this. Out of the two rewards, the money seemed better, so I took it, which moved us on to day 2. Day 2 introduces the system where we get to pick 2 things 3 times a day. We can either shop, hail, trade, gamble, and many other things. I want to hail as many times as possible since it'll give us the most upgrades, and upgrades are the most useful for this challenge. For day 2, we got 3 hails. The first one had nothing, the second one had something really useful where we get an extra add-on slot for one of our parts, and the third one was also useless since we can't equip any new equipment. Day 2 introduces to us the fact that things can spawn in the arena that can either help us or hurt us. This time gas cans spawned, and a spinning machine spawned too. If we hit the gas cans into an enemy, it'll explode, but if we hit ourselves into the gas can or the spinning thing, we'll take damage. Overall, day 2 is pretty easy. Also, whenever the arena goes purple, that means the gimmick for the arena is activated, and for the first set of arenas, it'll be a grinder. When picking the reward, I ended up going for armor piercing, even though I feel like I probably should have went for the other one, since I kinda needed the extra damage this early on. Moving on to day 3, we also end up getting 3 hails, where everything ends up being complete trash, garbage, useless, except for one single item that'll boost our health by 10 every single time we use it, which is once a day. But in general, everything we got was pretty bad. Before every night, we have to equip the parts that we got from the previous day, and I equipped the ones that I thought would be the most useful. For this challenge, the best kind of things that we want are upgrades that increase our power, since add-ons have limited slots, and upgrades don't. As the first act is the easiest act, because it's meant to be like the tutorial, the entirety of Night 3 was really easy. All of the unique enemy types inside of Act 1 are just variations of the dog, or it's just like an exploding spider here and there, or a roach. For my reward, I chose an upgrade that lets me do 3 times damage 10% of the time, which carried my run by the end of this. For day 4, I was hoping to get a repair since my mech was kind of broken in the bubble, but I ended up not getting that, and I decided to steal from this one person, which means I can't buy from them anymore, and I also sold all my items to this one vendor, so I have a bunch of money now for day 5. Going into night 4, I decided to equip all my attachments like usual, all my upgrades, you know, but I had to play this night really defensively, since if I got hit in the bubble one time, and then hit again, I will lose the entire run, so I was on edge for this entire turn. A really cool feature of this game is that as your bubble takes more and more damage, part of the screen will start to break off, and your heads-up display is on the physical screen, meaning you can't see enemy health bars if your screen's broken, which I find as a really cool detail. Also, I know I said this is not a review of the game, but I just want to say how well this game ran on the Quest 2. It was like buttery smooth, and I never had any frame drops or any issues with the game lagging, and if you want to pick it up, go into the description and I'll put my referral link in there, but it's legitimately really fun. Night 4 was obviously a bit harder than the other ones, since I had to play with no health, but it's okay, because it's still the Act 1, so we've breezed through it fairly easily, and we get to move on to the final day. For my reward, I picked an add-on that makes you do 20 damage whenever I hit with both arms. On day 5, I was praying for a repair, and I got a reusable repair kit. And then I asked this guy to fix my bot, and he fucked my shit up. Oh my god. He ran away after fucking my shit up. But I did get a little bit of heals out of it, so it was semi-worth it. It's all good. After 5 days, we finally get to the boss of Act 1, and I'm gonna skip past all like the pre-fight and just skip straight to the boss and give you guys some tips on how to beat it if you're struggling. As this is the first boss fight of the game, it's fairly simple. Lunge in after he attacks and hit him in the bubble. Just repeatedly hit him in the bubble. You can just have one arm on the ground, sling yourself forward, hit him in the bubble, back up. Try not to hit him inside the arms, because if you do, he will counterattack, and if you're too close, it'll hit you. But go in for some quick jabs, get your straight in, hit him 1-2, back up, go back in, hit him again. It's really simple, and the only worries you have are whenever he brings out the saws and runs across the field at you. Other than that, if you keep lunging in to hit the bubble, you'll do absolutely fine, and you'll beat him pretty easily. After smushing this guy like a bug, we get a choice between 2 add-ons, and I choose the one that gives you 2 seconds of invincibility every time you ram something. Day 6 is one of the more productive days that we've had, since we get an add-on for our bot that makes it so that whenever the other arm is turbo, the arm that it's placed on also gets turbo. We also repaired our bot to full health, or at least semi-full health, without it getting completely destroyed, and we bought an add-on toolkit that gave us extra healing. Now this guy is the sexiest man on earth. Oh my god. He carries this entire challenge, since every time you find him, he has a chance to give you 3 upgrades on a part of your choosing. And it's so good, because we got 3 good upgrades this time. Now going into night 6, we have a new arena we're fighting in, where the gimmick of this arena is there's a big hydraulic press in the middle, that whenever the arena turns purple, it'll continuously slam instead of different intermittent periods of time. You can shove bots inside of this, or get underneath it by accident, and it'll do a lot of damage, or it can do damage to you. This arena, I think, is one of my favorite ones, because you can play around the center and just continuously punch bots in as it crushes them. And I think it's really satisfying. But overall, since it's the first fight inside a new arena, it was easy. Both of the rewards were kinda ass, so I picked the cash instead. For day 7, we end up getting 2 pretty good upgrades, and I have no complaints about this day, and it went really smoothly. This is my first time making a video in this style, so I hope I'm doing decent. But CapCut is already starting to bug out, and it's only gonna get worse from here. Night 7 was also easy, and I think the only problem with this game is that it has sort of an artificial difficulty, where instead of making the enemies have like more health or like more complicated enemies, they just throw more enemies at you, and they try to overwhelm you instead of making it like really hard. So the game has like one set difficulty that artificially gets raised by just adding more enemies. Another cool thing about this arena is that there's waterfalls that if you hit a bot into, they'll slowly start to like spark and die, which I think is a really cool detail. The reason why I like Stage 2's arena more than Stage 1 is that later inside the matches we get more unique enemies. I'm pretty sure we get 2 extra unique ones, which are like a gorilla, and I think it's a rhino. And they both have their own unique mechanics, and they act like mini-bosses for Stage 2. Already, the matches are getting extremely long. I think this entire one was like 5 minutes, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but swinging your arms for 5 minutes straight, it can get pretty tiring, and this wasn't my first run. This was like my 5th run, and all the other runs were like an hour long, so I played for like 5 hours straight trying to get this run, and on the last one, it was like 80 minutes, because I actually got to the end. But it ends up being a long time, and it's tiring in the arms. I was sore for like 5 days straight. Maybe not 5, more like 3. Here we finally get to the new enemy, which is like a gorilla. And the main way I like to fight him is the same way you fought the first level boss. You charge in, get a few quick hits in, and you back up. If you have high stun, then you can hit him multiple times to stun him, and then start wailing at him. But his weak point is his head, and I think you can knock his arms off, but I don't think it's that easy. For a reward, I picked an add-on that gives me more stun. For day 8, we again see the sexiest man alive, but this time I only quirked my weapon 2 times, I think it was my right arm. because there is a chance that he can fuck it up, and if it fucks up, it loses everything it has and gets a negative debuff. After that, I went to a shop, and luckily, I got an upgrade that gives me times 3 damage. I now have 2 upgrades that add a 10% chance do times 3 damage on one arm, and if they both activate at the same time, that's times 9 damage, I'm pretty sure. Night 8 was another long and rough night, since it's continuous waves of enemies over and over, but it's the whole point of the game, and it's fun, so why not? I know I already said this earlier, but I'm going to say it again. If I can get 20 likes, which is a lot, I'll try and beat the entire game without any new upgrades, items, or add-ons. It'll just be me repairing my mech every fight and going straight in, and maybe a few other tricks I have up my sleeve, but mostly just me using my bare bones mech and repairing it, which is going to be hell, but it'll be worth it. After going through waves of enemies and defeating 2 gorilla mechs, I finally get to get my reward for Night 8. Now, while the reward was pretty good, my real reward came on day 9, where I got to see this handsome man again, and of course I hit him up to quirk my parts. This man is the savior of the entire challenge, and if I could marry him, I would. Now, unfortunately, that was the only good part of the day, so we had to move on straight into Night 9, and I'm just going to skip to the part that I think is the most interesting, which is the new enemy, who's a rhinoceros. So, funny thing, I searched through all of my clips, and I could not find this thing anywhere. I know I'm not crazy. I know that there's a rhino where the sides pop up and you hit the sides to do extra damage. I couldn't find it anywhere. I was pretty sure I fought it this night, or even the next one. I checked both. I was even planning to, cut the second night into this one to make it look like it was there, but I couldn't find it, so just hit the side whenever it opens up, and you should be fine. Yeah! After that extremely hard fight with that rhino, we finally get our reward, and we got a pretty good one too. Day 10 was fairly insignificant, where all I did was repair the damage that's already done to my mech, and I also found a few upgrades, one that increased stun, and one that helped with overheat. They were both relatively good, and since they're upgrades, they don't waste any space, so I could put them on anyway. After spending a bit organizing what parts I wanted, I came up with a build where I would do extra damage to bigger opponents at the cost of less stun. I thought it was worth it though. This boss fight is the kind of boss fight where it's only hard the first time you play it. After playing it the first time, you learn that the weakness is hitting her arms. That's right, if you hit her arms like 10 times, they'll just completely fall off, and then she's stranded there with nothing. All her attacks are either a wave she sends at you, overcharging and spinning at you like a fucking Beyblade, or she has one ranged attack where she shoots bombs at you. But if you can get both of the arms done, she can't really do anything, and it's just an easy fight. So focus as much as you can on the arms, and then after that, just back up every time she does a wave attack. After this, we finally get to move on to the 3rd stage of the game, which is a very long tower climb. Now, between the stage 2 boss and getting into the tower, you have no time to do anything. So whatever your build is to fight her, that's what you get for the rest of the game. You get no new parts, no new upgrades, no new add-ons. The only thing you get is every now and then, I think it's 2 times total, you get a chance to repair your mech. But on the first time I played this, I thought there'd be way more of them, so I didn't use them as much as I should have, and on the first one I kind of skimped out, before realizing that I had to go through the entirety until almost the end to fix my mech. So I would say, fix your mech to the fullest every single time you get there, and at each checkpoint, you also have a chance to get a little companion, which I thought, why not? There's nothing else to spend my money on, so every single time I reach one of them, I would buy one. The entirety of the tower climb is just long. It's kind of repetitive, but it's fairly easy if you know what you're doing. Most rooms have obstacles you can hit the opponents in, and after you finish a room, the door will open if you get near it. Whenever you get close to ends of some rooms, new enemies can appear from the ground, fall from the sky. They can also appear from little gates near the end. The entirety of this entire climb is just to get to an elevator at the end. You hit this button right here, and it'll send you up to your final fight of the entire thing. After a very short elevator ride and a little talk from King, we finally get to the end of the game, where we have to fight 3 bots who act as guards into the city. Since this is the big final boss, most people don't know how to fight these people the first time, meaning they usually lose to them. But I'm here to tell you the secret of how to beat them easily. The first thing you want to do, pick one of them and stick with it. Keep hitting it directly inside of its open chest, and if it ever closes, hit him in the head. Those are its 2 weak spots, and after that, you move on to stage 2, where they rip off the head of the other one, and now there's a 2-headed one and a 1-headed one. The 1-headed one, I'm pretty sure, takes no damage at all, so at this point, just focus on the 2-headed one. Hit it as much as you can, in the body, of course. After it closes, hit it in the head, and you'll reach stage 3, where it's the exact same thing. And to answer the question, can you beat Underdogs VR with only upgrades and add-ons? Yeah, pretty easily too. If you have anything else you want to see, leave it in the comments. Thank you.